Architecture CodeX. If you want to see more, like, comment, share, and most importantly, subscribe.
The average person may not fully appreciate how much regulation affects design. Regulations are written to control what is expected. The unexpected may innocently violate the literal rule without necessarily violating the spirit of the rule. But it is usually a safe thing to say that if you've ever seen a sign with a really stupid rule on it, it's because that one person once actually did that incredibly stupid thing. One time, I was touring an empty lot with a client where we would eventually place a new home. And while the owners were describing what they wanted, it appeared to me that all the other recently built houses in the neighborhood were configured the same way, but not in a way that my client wanted. A quick review of the zoning revealed why. Floor area ratios were governed by certain setbacks on the site coverage rules. Our design ultimately conformed to the rules as it made the most sense to get the most house possible, but it also conformed with the other neighbor design motifs. The chief designer of these homes might then be considered the writer of the zoning code. Another example is that ADA, handicap access, has pretty much eliminated the grand staircase entrance to most public buildings. And this is why the 1952 modern skyscraper Lever House in New York City was so astounding. It appeared to break the rules, but actually found a way to follow the rules in an innovative manner that the regulators may not have expected, but eventually welcomed. In the earliest days of skyscrapers, municipalities recognized that tall, straight buildings could cut off sunlight from reaching the street. So in 1916, New York City established their setback laws, which simply stated that for every number of stories you go up, you had to step back a certain distance in order to assure sunlight reached the street. We see that step back in many of New York's most famous tall buildings. But modernists recognized the inherent inefficiency of the structural system for such floor plates of such step-back buildings, and they yearned to build straight towers. We saw this dialogue of Old Tower versus New Tower in Architecture Codex number 30 regarding the competition to build the new Chicago Tribune Tower. Since the 9,500 square foot floor plate covers only 25% of the block, Lever House does not step back from the street. Rather, it sits back from the street, allowing plenty of light to get to Park Avenue and 53rd and 54th Street. But it also allows the form to be simplistically modern, straight glass curtain walls that was light in both senses of the word. It allows the sun to bathe the interior space with light, and being of such little weight, since the perimeter wall was not load-bearing, thin steel members could hold it up. The slim vertical slab of a tower is contrasted with the low horizontal slab that is the second floor. But even these are not big blocks. Much of the street is still given to pedestrians, as the second floor is elevated on columns, a lot like Le Corbusier's pilotes at Villa Savoy. And that second floor is even missing a center, which opens up a courtyard, bringing even more light to the street, but also giving a space for New Yorkers to sit. We have seen such sensitive urban space created since in buildings like Citicorp, the Ford Foundation, AT&T, or even the IBM headquarters. But Lever House was the first. Lever House was built for the British firm Lever Brothers, now Unilever, by the architectural powerhouse firm of Skidmore, Owens and Merrill, SOM, whom pure modernists once dubbed as Three Blind Meese. The lead architects on this building were Gordon Bunshaft and Nathalie Dubois. This pair also designed the 1960 52-story tall Union Carbide building further south on Park Avenue. but that classic modernist tower has since been demolished, the largest intentional demolition of a building in history, to make way for a new J.P. Morgan Chase Tower, which will be twice as tall at the same location. Lever House escaped a similar fate because after a close call, it was declared a landmark in 1983. At a mere 21 stories, you could argue that is not really a skyscraper, but actually that designation has a lot more to do with the fire trucks, the tallest tower ladders that the fire department of New York might have. They can generally reach 7 stories at a max. But in spite of the fact that there would be many more taller buildings, the Lever House remains as one of the first and few buildings that reached modernist design perfection. Consider then, in 1952, how unique the gleaming green metal panels and green-tinted windows set in a thin stainless steel frame were. Prior, most buildings had ponderous masonry perimeter walls that bore at least some of the wall and floor load and had small individual windows cut into the heavy masonry. The curtain wall also innovated with tracks that allow window washing scaffold to ride the facade. In 2003, the curtain wall was replaced because technology had improved so much since then, but the design was unchanged. Today, Lever House is the short ancestor of an almost unlimited number of undistinguished tall glass curtain wall skyscrapers that crowd New York City's skyline. But pictures from when it was first built demonstrate its beauty and its impact on New York City. Like family reunion photos, it is important to realize that the matriarchs and patriarchs, who often sit in the front row, perhaps with a cane or in a wheelchair, were once vibrant and youthful, and perhaps they were more cool, hep, or groovy than you will ever be. They set the standard for excellence and dignity, and their character defined a generation and made the next generation possible. They should be given the respect and the care they need. They earned it. I'm Michael Molinelli, and this is Architecture Codex.